rolling.
Winners, losers. It's psychedelic, bro. We won, they lost.
Carton and Roberts on SNY and WFAN is presented by Grubhub.
Able to do it. So we'll have some surprises for you tomorrow to wrap up the week. So it will not be Willie Colon. Just wanted to put that out there. Because I know people were saying, oh, Willie's, and it will be great one day. Willie will come by, and I love Willie, but he's not going to be able to make it tomorrow, okay? 877-337-6666. Joining us now, the commissioner of the NHL, and the man I sat next to at a New Jersey Devils game who told me years ago that a 3-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey. Gary Bettman joins us. Gary, how you been?
I'm good, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing much better. Thank you very much. Do you remember that conversation?
Well, I don't remember being quite as definitive. I would have suggested that a 3-goal lead isn't as good as you might think at first blush, because frequently you'll see a quick change of momentum and the game can turn itself on its head.
To be fair,
But,
I was eating popcorn at the time, so I may have misheard the intent of what you said, but I thought it was that.
That's okay. That's close enough. That's good. You been good?
Much better than I was, as you know, and I appreciate your support throughout all that, and appreciate you coming on. I know you're very busy, and as we get ready for another start of the NHL season and a new team, the Kraken out in Seattle, give me just a quick overview, if you don't mind, where the league is, kind of like a state of the state address, just as the commissioner, and then I'll get into the specifics with you.
Great. We're in very strong shape. The game on the ice is terrific. Our young, skilled players are, for the most part, leading the league in scoring. Our franchises have never been stronger. Our game competitively, we have the most extraordinary competitive balance of all the major sports. And our viewership, our attendance is all strong, subject, obviously, from an attendance standpoint to
Listen, COVID.
year and a half.
Right.
I'm
COVID
sorry?
threw you broke up there for a second. COVID threw everyone for a loop. I know financially the question is, how do you ever make, everybody whole again? And I'm not sure that you can ever do that. But I know one of the things you guys, I think, announced yesterday or even earlier today was something that you were against for a long time, and that's putting advertisements on the front of the quote-unquote sweater. I assume that's done. That was a move that you guys collectively decided purely to try to bridge the financial gap of the last year and a half?
Well, a couple of things in response to that. One, I'm not sure we can ever make up for the losses the last year and a half. We obviously had to finish the 2019-20 season in a bubble without fans, 2 bubbles actually. Last season was abbreviated, and for a large portion of the season we didn't have fans. But we did, in the course of the last 16 months, extend our collective bargaining agreement. We have 2 new major media partners nationally in ESPN and Turner moving forward at a good increase over what we were getting, which is more than a good increase. And so we just had to power through what happened the last year, as everybody did. And frankly, health and safety was paramount in everything we did, either for our fans, our other personnel, or most importantly, our players. But these were times that were difficult for everyone. We did have some limited advertising on helmets,
right,
to try and bridge some of the gap. And the trend seems to be the NBA's been doing it. They do it in Europe. My guess is the other leagues are going to do it. And we figured, okay, the time is right. As much as personally I like our sweaters the way they are, the way we're going to do this is very limited. It's really more of a patch. It's not like European soccer where the entire jersey is taken over. And it is a substantial revenue opportunity, and we're in these difficult times, trying constantly to grow revenues.
So it's kind of a perfect storm. It is a great revenue raise. It comes on the heels of tough financial times for a lot of teams. So if you were ever going to do it, it seems like now is the time to do it with limitations. Like you said, you don't have Vodafone on the front of your entire jersey like a European soccer team would. It'll be a much, I think it's like a 3-inch by 3-inch patch. So it's not going to really interfere with the actual jersey design and the logo that fans are in love with.
Exactly right. And it ultimately seemed inevitable because, as I said, the NBA is doing it. My guess is at some point baseball and maybe the NFL will do it. And so with this revenue opportunity and the tremendous interest that our clubs were hearing from potential business partners interested in the opportunity, we figured, okay, aesthetics are important, and we do have great history and tradition, but sometimes you just have to change it up with the times.
You talked about the Turner ESPN deal, and I never thought I'd see it, but someone convinced Wayne Gretzky to say, all right, I'll do it. I'm sure he's been asked a million times. Were you a part of that?
Well, we were aware it was going on. Wayne is an incredible person and ambassador for our game, beyond the fact that, he on the ice has always been the great one. But I think for the game, this is going to be great. Fans are going to love to hear his insights. And so he'll be on Turner. Mark Messier is going to be on ESPN. Right. I think both of our new partners have done an absolutely incredible job of assembling talent to bring our games to our fans. So we are very, very excited about the future for our game on national media in the United States. Obviously, we have a very strong relationship with Rogers Sportsnet in Canada, and we are grateful for all that NBC did for us over the last 15 years.
Sure. All right, let me do a couple things that are newsworthy today for you. I know there's a concern about whether or not the players want to go to Beijing in 2022. I know you guys have set out February 7th through the 22nd, so a 3-week span to allow them to do that. But COVID being what it is and player safety being what it is, do you have a read yet on whether or not NHL players will be participating? And if they don't, do you then have to redo the schedule to accommodate for that 3-week gap?
Well, we actually have a schedule in the draw in case we need it. Our players, and the international composition of our players, very much as they want to win the Stanley Cup. Number 2 on the list is a gold medal at the Olympics, particularly our international players, but the U.S. and Canadian players as well. Players really want to go. Personally, I think because the last 2 seasons have had some COVID disruptions and as tight as they say the protocols are going to be in Beijing, I worry about, another wave of COVID. And so all things being equal, I would prefer to us look very seriously at not going. But I know from the Players Association and from the players themselves that this is important to them and they want to go. And part of the extension of the collective bargaining agreement last year was us agreeing that if all the things that were needed to be put in place could be arranged by the Players Association, we would then shut down so that the players would have the opportunity to go. On balance, I think it would probably be better, or certainly there are good reasons not to go, but I also respect the view, desires,
Sure.
and passion of the players to play for their countries.
And either way, it won't change the actual number of games, right? It's still going to be an 82-game season, right? It just means that it just gets pushed back.
That's correct. We take a break, and we, prior to the South Korea Olympics, which was the last ones and we didn't go to those, we had participated, I think, in 4 or 5 Olympics, and it is a disruption to the season. There's no question about that because there's a change in momentum. A different number of players from each NHL team go to the Olympics, so some players on some teams come back very well rested from a 2-week vacation, and some other players from going halfway around the world will come back tired. So it does sort of change up the dynamic season, But again, the only reason we consider doing this is because we know it's important to the players.
Talking to Gary Bettman, Commissioner of the NHL, for a few moments here. We appreciate his time. Seattle Kraken, I imagine it's been great thus far. The season ticket purchases have been great. The marketing's been great. The jersey sales, all that stuff. I know when you go into something like that, there's always that nervous part of, hey, when we make a decision like this, we got to get it right. We can't have a city that can't support a hockey team. Give me an idea of where you are, before they've played a single game with the Kraken.
That's a great question. So there are 4 criteria we think you look at as a league before you expand. You look at, most importantly, who the owner would be, what the market would be. Is it a market that could support another or a new professional sports team? Is there an adequate arena? And will it enhance the league in some fashion by expanding our footprint and bringing us to another place? Seattle checks every box. David Bonderman and his partnership group going to be great owners. What they've done to the old Key Arena, which is now the Climate Pledge Arena, is unbelievable. I toured it, I think, about 3 weeks ago, and it is going to be spectacular by any arena standard in the world. And Seattle's really enthused about this team. I think they had something like 30-some-odd thousand people sign up for season tickets, an arena that's going to seat 17,000. I believe there's another 20,000 people on the waiting list. The corporate support has been sensational. Everything they have been doing, they've been doing right. And we have a fair amount of recent experience in expanding, particularly to new places. People were extraordinarily skeptical when we went to Las Vegas.
Right.
And in some quarters there was criticism and even a little ridicule, and the Golden Knights have been nothing short of a phenomenal success. And all of a sudden, the skeptics said, "Oh, maybe it'd be good for an NFL team to go there." Other leagues are now talking about it. And again, in Vegas, they checked all the boxes, starting with Bill Foley as the owner, T-Mobile Arena, and a market that has incredibly embraced hockey and the Golden Knights. And I think being in Las Vegas and being in Seattle, major markets, will enhance the strength of our game by putting us in more places and in very interesting and exciting places.
Now, to be honest, did somebody have to tell you what a Kraken was, or did you just know?
No. I knew from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I had to look it up. I go, what? The Kraken? What? Now I know it's this mythical octopus. I didn't know idea what it was.
Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the partners of David Bonderman's in Seattle, and he clearly knew what a Kraken was.
There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. You talked about Vegas, so I know this is a tougher topic for all the leagues, and we just, as you know, we're talking to Rob Manfred. I brought it up with him as well. The Evander Kane story, and I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of his story because I recognize it's still going to play itself out, and it's a he said, she said, does bring, forth, the concern all you guys have as, gambling becomes more, the proliferation of it spreads, becomes more commonplace in every market that you have a team in. How do you balance the, great revenue for our owners? It's legal, so we're not talking about any back alley stuff, but there's still the possible negative connotation of, guys in the league gambling. Now, all of your leagues, yours included, have rules against players being in casinos and gambling, but his case brings it back to the forefront. So I just want to get a sense from you where you are comfort-wise being in bed with casinos and gambling sites, and how much you guys will pay attention to or make it part of the deal that there are responsible gambling messages sent out to your fan bases as well.
Absolutely. We take, whether or not there's gambling legal or illegal, nothing's more important than the integrity of our games. And that's something that we have in all leagues focused on and been responsible for, and that's a covenant we make with our fans. Where gambling is legal, there are obviously rules and regulations attendant to that. We monitor all of our games. We monitor lines. We monitor all the statistics attendant to games being played, and we make sure that we don't see things that would give us concern, and if we do, we investigate them. And in Van de Kane's case, his wife, I think soon to be his ex-wife, made some allegations, and we have to treat them seriously, and we will, and that's why we're investigating. But gambling or no gambling, people will root because they believe in the integrity of our games, and that's paramount for us to maintain that.
Yeah, and I think, listen, you're going to do business with the gambling sites. There's no reason for you not to. And I think the fact that it is in the open, like I was saying to Rob, it's not in the back alley anymore, I think makes it easier for you guys to sell that to your fan base that, hey, it's okay that FanDuel's here. It's okay that this casino or whomever is with us because it's wide out in the open. So there's less likely for that backdoor deal where a guy might be put in a bad spot to do something that does attack the integrity of it. And for my purposes, as a guy who is a compulsive gambler, like my story played out very publicly, as you know, I think it actually is to the benefit of people like me because having leagues like yours embrace legalized gambling, but being a part of the message of responsible gambling, I think makes it a lot easier for people like me who had a problem and have a problem to come forward about having a problem. And I think long-term, big picture, it does a lot more good than bad.
Well, you are extraordinarily articulate on the point, and I agree with what you're saying, and particularly with your experience, it resonates. The relationships, and people should be clear about that, the relationships we have with the sports betting industry, we have no part of the book. Okay, we have nothing to do with whether or not a particular outcome from a betting standpoint is more desirable. These are really advertising and promotional partnerships, branding partnerships, not unlike you see all sports leagues have in a variety of categories, whether or not it's alcohol and beer, or it's soft drinks or isotonics. So it's all part of the business, but we have to make sure that our fans understand what the right messaging is and what is appropriate conduct under the circumstances. And it's not just the fans, it's the players as well. And I believe our players are the consummate professionals, that they play for the love of the game, and they would never do anything to damage the game. So I don't worry about them fixing games, although we do monitor, and in a case where allegations are raised, we do investigate. But, responsible conduct throughout a society where there are potential for a variety of problems is something where we can use our platform to deliver the right messaging.
Sure. Talking to Gary Bettman a few more moments. He talked about Seattle being a city and an ownership group that checked all the boxes. Hockey fans would wonder, do you foresee in the near future a team in Quebec, another Canadian team? Do you see a team that's currently in a certain city possibly moving to a quote-unquote better city? Or do you think for the next couple of years it is what it is?
No, I think we're all good right now. As I said when you asked me for the state of the league, all our franchises are strong. A couple of franchises are working on getting new buildings, but there's no reason for us to be moving any franchises. And having just expanded to Vegas and to Seattle, we're at 32 teams, which while you don't expand for symmetrical purposes is a good number.
Yep.
16 teams in the East, 16 in the West. We like what our footprint looks like. We like where we are, and we're not looking at expansion or relocation, certainly for the foreseeable future.
I would think you feel really good that, Malkin and Ledecky and the UBS Arena at Belmont sold a gazillion season tickets, and Islander fans feel like they have a home.
But the Islander run is sensational if you're an Islander fan. This is a really good time to be an Islander fan. Actually, I think the last time you and I saw each other, we were at some event for the Islanders, and we were doing a Q&A, and John Ledecky was there.
It was the night you and I did a Q&A when they had the little run with Brooklyn, and they were doing they put out the new jerseys, and I did a Q&A with you. Yep.
So you have a good memory. By the way, that building, the UBS Arena, is sensational. I toured that a couple of months ago. fans of the Islanders, people who live in the metropolitan area, particularly on Long Island, are going to love it. It is just a spectacular arena, and Lou Lamoriello has gotten this team extraordinarily competitive. I was in the Nassau Coliseum when fans were allowed back in and during the playoffs. They've been having a great run, and as I said, it's a really good time to be an Islanders fan, and the new building is going to be loud, it's going to be full, and it's going to be exciting.
Couple quick rules questions. First, Ranger fans, of course, and it was very public what happened between the league office and the Rangers this past year. The Tom Wilson Panarin hit. My understanding was that was the maximum allowable fine, the $5,000 fine, based on the collective bargaining agreement. But does the commissioner have extra discretionary powers where if you thought, hey, he was obviously trying to hurt Panarin, blah, 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 you could have suspended him more? And in retrospect, do you think he deserved it?
Well, two things. One, George Parros, who runs player safety, is the one who's charged in the first instance in making those decisions. And the way we're set up is I stay out of the first level decision because appeals come to me. George felt that it wasn't worthy of a suspension under the circumstances. I know reasonable people can differ, and maybe the aesthetics, since they were playing again in the Garden 2 nights later, would have been better if he was suspended. But George used his best judgment, and I have confidence in George. And while not everybody's going to agree with his decisions, overwhelmingly he's focused on keeping the game and the players safe. 5,000 was the maximum under the CBA, and if I tried finding more, I'm sure the Players Association would file a grievance against me and try to get it overturned.
Oh no, your phone would have rung in a minute. There's no doubt.
I might have heard without the phone even ringing at all.
Sure. Are you concerned at all? I'm not going to claim to be an expert in this because I'm not, but in the scuttlebutt I heard regarding Tampa's great run is that there was a loophole in the way the salary cap works and where you can, quote unquote, hide an injured player and then use that financial slot to bring other guys in. Are you concerned about other teams trying to do that, and will you close that loophole?
Well, that is an element of the collective bargaining agreement that's also negotiated. And what the provision basically says is if you're a team at the cap and you have no room and you lose a player on a long-term injury, you can replace him. I'm not sure that a team is going to have a player have surgery and miss all of the regular season just to get cap room. We checked into it. And there was a bona fide injury that took a long time to rehab, and if it provided an advantage during the playoffs, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, because a player who misses the entire season may not be in peak form when he comes back. But those are the rules. When we were satisfied that they were complied with, you might, in a particular case, wish the rule was something different, right. But this wasn't a rule. This has been in the collective bargaining agreement since 2005.
Is there active conversation, or has there been about, hey, what are we doing with overtime, or are we going to go back to the 3-on-3? Do we like the shootout, or do we changing the point system, or no?
You know, it seems no. The answer is we like the way the game's being played. As I said before, our competitive balance is amazing. But as it relates to overtime, fans overwhelmingly tell us that instead of ties, they love the 3-on-3, 5-minute sudden death overtime period. I'd say somewhere a little over 20% of our games go into overtime, right. And of those 3-on-3, get a decision short of a shootout a little over 60% of the time. When we had 4-on-4, it was about 40% of the time. So 3-on-3 created more open ice, more excitement, and more decisions short of the shootout. And so I think we've got a good balance. And all of the fan research that we do and feedback we get says our fans think the game, particularly this aspect of it, is in a good place.
2 more minutes with Gary Bettman here, Commissioner of the NHL. Devils fans are upset that since the Prudential Center opened, they haven't gotten the All-Star game. I imagine the UBS Arena wants one now that they're a brand-new building. Any plans for either of those buildings in the near future to get an All-Star game?
Ultimately, we're going to get to everywhere. We've had a draft at Prudential, very vocal and well-attended one. I remember the booing vigorously, and the answer is we try to move our events around to all of our clubs, and to the extent the team wants an event and has the logistical support in terms of hotels and everything else we need, we bring it. And so I think in the future, I don't have the timeline, having events in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area is certainly something that's on the table.
Yeah, I assume you saw the Field of Dreams baseball. Did it make you think how special the Winter Classic has been over the last decade?
Actually, it reminded me of what we did at Lake Tahoe in the spring, right? We had done that type of concept where we played a game out in the field and we built a rink overlooking Lake Tahoe. We played 2 games and it was spectacular. Things like that, whether it's what baseball did or what we did in Tahoe or what we do in the outdoor games with the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series games, it conjures up visions of a game from people's youth when they first got introduced to the game as fans or learning how to play and skate. It's just another way for us to connect with our fans and their love affair with our games.
There's a weird thing about the NHL, Gary, for me, where I could watch any NHL playoff game, 1/3 period, and it's riveting. I can't turn it off, and I don't even care who's playing. But I don't feel the same way about a regular season game, and I wonder if you guys have ever, contemplated, is there anything we can do regular season-wise to try to match that intensity and entertainment that a playoff game gives?
Actually, you should respectfully watch more of our games, particularly down the stretch. When you get to February, March, and early April, every regular season game is almost like a playoff game because, as we talked about, our competitive balance is so good. Most of our teams are in the hunt until virtually the end of the regular season. And then, obviously, once the playoffs begin, anything can happen. But when you're focused on our regular season, teams are going to make or not make the playoffs by a point or two.
Right.
And every game matters. Games in October matter because every point is precious because our competitiveness is so good.
And you're the only commissioner the sport's ever had, and I wonder how much longer you see yourself doing it. Is there a Gary Bettman exit strategy, or are you in still for the long haul?
Well, I've been in for the long haul.
I know, but do you see yourself being the commissioner 10 years from now, 5 years from now?
Well, 10 years from now would put me at an age where I probably won't be doing this. But for the foreseeable future, and as long as the owners are happy with what I'm doing, I wake up energized for what I do with the game. I love what I do. And as long as that's the case, I'm going to keep doing it. But obviously, at some point, age will become a factor. But certainly not at the present time because I'm feeling good, and I think I'm firing on all cylinders.
Real quick, breaking news just handed to me. The city of Glendale has chosen not to renew the operating agreement for the Arizona Coyotes beyond the coming 21-22 season. I imagine you guys probably knew that was going to happen. Any initial thoughts on what the Coyote franchise does?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think the Coyote franchise is going anywhere. I think the city of Glendale is negotiating. There's no secret that Alex Morello, who's the owner of the Coyotes, is looking at his options to build a new arena somewhere else in Greater Phoenix. And I think the city of Glendale basically said to the Coyotes, you have to sign a 20-year lease or we're not going to renew. I just think they're just negotiating. I'm not worried about the Coyotes. I think their future stays in the Greater Phoenix area.
And just so I say it on the record, you can confirm that you do not have a Screw the Rangers button in your office, so when Boomer asked me how the interview went, I can tell him I asked the question.
Yeah. He knows, and you know the answer to the question. Well, it's like your children, in my case, my grandchildren. You love them all equally, but differently.
There you go. Well, Gary, I appreciate your time today. I know you're busy. Thanks. I look forward to seeing you again soon. It's been far too long. And thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure. I look forward to seeing you.
All right, take care. Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, kind enough to join us. Hopefully, if you're an NHL fan, that did something for you and you got the answers to questions that were important to you. We're about a half hour away from talking to Mr. Adam Silver live in studio, the commissioner of the NBA. Now, we have an SNY fan choice poll sponsored by Dunkin'. Tri-State runs on Dunkin'. And here's the poll that they came up with. How are you feeling about the Mets? Let me finish. After Wednesday's big win in San Francisco, here are your choices, all right? You can say cautiously optimistic, B, need to see more, or C, forget it, the season's over. Those are your three choices. To cast your vote on the SNY Fan Choice Poll, visit sny.tv/vote. All right, Adam Silver's coming up. If you have any calls you want to get in now, we'll take those as well. 877-337-6666. Plus, we have another pair of Yankee tickets coming up after the break as well. Coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios.
Carton and Roberts is presented by Grubhub. Order with contact-free delivery to safely get food from the restaurants you love.
Now there's a way to make supporting your favorite restaurant even better. Introducing the Grubhub Guarantee. It's our promise to make sure your food is just right by delivering it on time within the delivery window and for the lowest price compared to other apps. Or you'll get back at least $5 in perks. That way you can experience your food just like the restaurant intended. That's the Grubhub Guarantee.
One year apart is one too many. Don't miss the return of the Great New York State Fair, August 20th through September 6th. Come be a part of it. Get your tickets at iloveny.com.
If there's ever a summer to get away, this is it. And the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is here to make it happen. Secure your deal and head to your Hyundai dealer today, where new vehicles are arriving daily, and get away with summer-only savings on all models. This is your summer to get away with it all. Hey, it's your journey. Own it.
Lease an Elantra for $139 a month, or get an Elantra or Sonata for 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
Today, every business is digital. From web design and development to e-commerce, AmericanEagle.com delivers innovative website and digital solutions, driving growth for their clients. Their e-commerce work for WeatherTech focused on advanced functionality in finding specific products, increasing conversion, and accelerating growth. Need to build online revenue? Let's talk. AmericanEagle.com, building your digital mindset.
93 warmer days, promising new adventure and views that never get old. Your favorite season starts now. Summer on. Receive a credit of up to $3,500 through September 6th.
You're watching golf videos now.
Oh, in fact, I am, yeah, because I switched to Spectrum Mobile, so I get 5G nationwide, including here.
You think a golf video is going to help with what you're doing?
Oh, no, it's not just a video. I saved a bunch of money when I switched, so I hired a swing coach. Say hi to Brett.
Hey. Well, you tell Brett you just shot a 12 on the last hole.
Who's counting?
Everybody. That's the whole point of golf. Counting.
Brett did tell me that.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile and save, and get 5G nationwide included in every plan. It's a better way to mobile. It's Spectrum Mobile.
Young Mozzarella tweeted, I purchased one of those untucked dress shirts and then tucked it in, if anyone out there is looking for a bad boy. Mr. Mozzarella, this tweet made me realize what I've been missing all along. Bad boys. I would like you to be our first tucked-in model. The models on untuckit.com wear their shirts untucked like they were designed to. We want to market to tucked-in bad boys. Please DM us so we can arrange a photo shoot. Find your shirt today at untuckit.com.
need to try it first.
Eye contact, elbow pump. Very nice, Andrew. Very nice. Next, apparently Carvana doesn't have any bogus fees.
Bogus? No, we work hard for those fees. No $100 fuel fee?
Pumping gas makes me woozy.
Yes. Thank you.
No $600 dock fee? Ugh, the printing, the organizing.
No $200 cleaning fees.
Microfiber? That chaps my hands. You know, we should go over there right now and show them how fees are done.
Never pay a dealer fee. With Carvana.
This is Fight Camp, the best connected at-home boxing gym. Train with real fighters and track in real time your punches, output, and speed. Fight Camp brings the best parts of the boxing gym into your home. Finally, fitness that fits you. Fightcamp.com. Order now and get free shipping.
These fudge brownie M&Ms are really fudgy.
Yes, they are.
To put a fudge brownie center in an M&M's is...
Genius. I know.
I was going to say hard.
Why won't you?
Why won't you go in?
Fudge brownie M&Ms.
Do you have a crock on your counter stuffed with utensils, many of which you don't even use? Hi, I'm Lucinda Scala Quinn, chef, author, and TV host. And with over 10 years as the executive food director for Martha Stewart, I've tried every kitchen product you could dream of. But nothing beats my Spurtles. They'll be the hardest working tools in your kitchen. It's a simple idea designed in the 16th century in Scotland for stirring oatmeal, and it makes so much sense. Think of the Spurtle as 10 tools in one. Unlike wooden spoons that are rounded at the end, the Spurtle gets in where the side of the pan meets the bottom and leaves no food behind. Here's canned tuna, and I've chopped some veggies that I'm going to scrape directly into the bowl. Scoop out the mayo in one fell swoop, and with all that surface area, you can smash it together. Stir and serve, and I promise you, you won't find a better tool for spreading. How many peanut butter sandwiches have you made in your lifetime? Use the Spurtle to whisk your eggs, pour them into a hot pan, and stir as you cook. Plus, the Spurtle makes a great egg separator. Think of how many times you're asked to sift dry ingredients. With the Spurtle, you can sift and stir. Strain out liquid, just this easy. Also, it's the best tool for folding. Like when you're trying to make that perfect chocolate mousse. You can get your complete Spurtle set today for only $19.99. And if you order now, I'll include my skinny Spurtle free. It's perfect for getting in those narrow jars. But that's not all. Order right now and I'll double the offer. Just pay a separate fee. I promise you, my Spurtles will be the hardest working tools in your kitchen. But just remember, it's a Spurtle, Myrtle.
To get your Spurtles, call 1-800-709-6348. That's 1-800-709-6348, or go to buyspurtle.com. That's buyspurtle.com. Order now.
And Pilar hits a rocket out to left field. Back goes way to the warning track. Back at the wall. It's out of here! Kevin Pilar with a 3-run homer. Pilar back in San Francisco with a bomb to put the Mets in front in the 12th inning. What a big hit for Kevin Pilar.
Today. Big Mac decided not to come to work
Well,
today.
what I said to you in the meeting, I go, next time you're mad at me, Craig, just look around and realize who's here and who isn't.
Yeah, for the Commissioner's Summit.
Exactly. I made
Who
sure.
didn't show up for the Commissioner's Summit?
Correct.
But that's Brian over there, right? Brian's filling it. Maybe Brian wants the job full time.
I'm Team Carton.
You're on Team Carton,
Oh,
yes.
big time,
Well,
for sure.
you're not always on Team Carton, but today you're on Team Carton. Because you're going to go home and tell your friends, I produced 3 commissioners for that show today.
Yep.
What do I get? I get nothing for it.
Yeah, a hug.
Stevie's upstate. Stevie, what do you got, buddy?
Hey, good afternoon.
Yeah, and to you, sir.
How about a question for Adam Silver in terms of overtime? If he could add a foul, like they add timeouts in overtime, and you don't want to see guys leaving games because they foul out. I mean, why not give them all an extra foul, something like that?
If you had to take a guess, and it's just a guess, I'm not saying you'd have to be right, okay? How many guys foul out of an average NBA game?
Not that many, but I'm saying why not give them...
So it's not that big a problem, right?
No, why give them timeouts? And if they have no timeouts, if they use them all. I mean, yeah, and also... one thing I would like to, if they could...
But here's the thing. So you have a guy that commits his 6th foul. He fouls out of a game with 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. 10 minutes later, whatever happens, bing, bang, boom, overtime. You want that guy to be eligible to come back?
Oh, not come back. Just give him an extra foul.
No, so in other words, he'd have to be able to... So if he fouls out in regulation, you want that guy to be able to come back?
No, not to come back.
Or you want to have 7 fouls per guy?
Only if it goes into overtime.
No, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way because
you go into overtime, and let's say a guy has 6 fouls.
But what if the guy fouled out before you got to overtime? You don't know you're getting to overtime.
Yeah, but I'm saying he could foul out in overtime, though.
No. What I'm saying is, Spider.
Right.
What I'm saying is this: you want a guy who fouls out to be given a bonus foul if the game goes into overtime.
Yeah.
Right. So, in other words, if a guy fouls out with 6 minutes to go in regulation and the game happens to go to overtime, you'd want that guy to then become eligible to play in overtime, right?
Well, maybe, yeah, that would make sense.
I'm not gonna ask that question.
No?
I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you. I can tell you, I can blow smoke up your ass and tell you, oh, great question. That'll be the 3rd question I ask Adam, but I don't think that's a question.
No.
Like, as you contemplate all the possible questions for the commissioner of the NBA,
I had a question,
that ain't one of them.
I had a question, though, for the NHL. Also, it had to do with, like, if guy gets a penalty with a minute left in regulation.
Yeah.
They should continue that penalty pass regulation. The game could end with a minute left in the penalty.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one. By the way, I agree with you on that one. But I don't know what the rule is. I'm not sure. Is there a rule? If you're in the penalty box of a 2-2 game, do you start overtime in the penalty box?
Let me take a look at the old NHL rulebook right now.
Call Dylan up. I have no idea.
Let's get Dylan on that.
I don't know the answer to that question.
She is an expert.
I don't really care that much. But I don't know. I'd like to, now that he asked, I'd like to know. So if you have a 2-minute power play or a penalty, you're in the penalty box, and you commit the infraction with 30 seconds left in regulation. So in theory, you have another 90 seconds you have to serve. If the game goes to overtime, do you serve that extra 90 seconds?
I always thought you did because I thought you did that.
You'd have to,
periods, right? If it's you commit something after the first,
I would think that you have to. It carries over.
Correct.
I don't know who. Someone in the background said, "Yeah."
That's our NHL crack.
We have an NHL guy in the back.
We have a crack committee here.
So all I heard in the background was, "Yeah."
Yeah. So because I don't know a lot about hockey, they help me. They chime in.
It was like I was watching Trading Places, but the FAN version. Yeah. Oh, okay. If he has the answer, I'll just go with yeah. There you go. We have no update on Carl Lawson. I can tell you that right now. And baseball-wise, I should tell you that the Mets are now going to try to, go for actually 2 wins in a row. But, of course, to do that, they'd have to do it against the Dodgers. I don't know where that sheet is, by the way. I had a show sheet here at one point. Because if Adam Silver's co-hosting, he's got to have a show sheet, right? Hold on. Oh, here it is. I got it. I have it. I have it here. I just wanted to see who was pitching tonight because I didn't know. Taijuan Walker. Have the Dodgers announced who their starter is yet? I don't think so.
Let me take a.
It was TBD when this got printed.
Earlier,
And Yankees Twins tonight. We'll go to the pregame at 6:25. It's John Grant from Minnesota against my main man, J-Mo. Jameson Tyone pitching for the Yanks tonight as they try to win their 93rd consecutive game. That's which I think would be a record, but that's what they're going for tonight. Adam Silver's coming up at 5 o'clock. Number for you to join, 877-337-6666. Stay with us right after this.
Rock out with Kings of Leon at Jones Beach Theater, Wednesday, August 25th.
Carton and Roberts on SNY is brought to you by Dunkin'. It's time to get back, New York. So come to Dunkin' for the boost you need to get back running all the way to the beach.
Now there's a way to make supporting your favorite restaurant even better. Introducing the Grubhub Guarantee. It's our promise to make sure your food is just right by delivering it on time within the delivery window and for the lowest price compared to other apps. Or you'll get back at least $5 in perks. That way you can experience your food just like the restaurant intended. That's the Grubhub Guarantee.
You're watching golf videos now.
Oh, in fact, I am, yeah, because I switched to Spectrum Mobile, so I get 5G nationwide, including here.
You think a golf video is going to help with what you're doing?
Oh, no, it's not just a video. I saved a bunch of money when I switched, so I hired a swing coach. Say hi to Brett.
Hey. Well, you tell Brett you just shot a 12 on the last hole.
Who's counting?
Everybody. That's the whole point of golf. Counting.
Brett did tell me that.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile and save, and get 5G nationwide included in every plan. It's a better way to mobile. It's Spectrum Mobile.
If there's ever a summer to get away, this is it. And the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is here to make it happen. Secure your deal and head to your Hyundai dealer today, where new vehicles are arriving daily, and get away with summer-only savings on all models. This is your summer to get away with it all. Hey, it's your journey. Own it.
Lease an Elantra for $139 a month, or get an Elantra or Sonata for 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
Let's go, Miss Gaskell, Virginia Wolf, tuna fish salad, on two. In hot, woo! On two, ready?
False start, offense, ununiformed man in the leather recliner, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Man, looks like your chair pulled a hammy. Better get some ice on that.
I can shake it off, man. I'm ready to go again. Let's go. I'll be ready. Next play.
Get front row seats every Sunday afternoon with NFL Sunday Ticket. Every live game every Sunday only on DirecTV.
To be a legend, you have to beat a legend.
This is the fight we've all been waiting for.
I need to try it first.
Tonight, Pete Alonso looks to barrel a few up and lay some lumber on the left coast as he and the Mets aim to overmatch the Dodgers in La La Land. Coverage begins with City pregame tonight at 9:30, only on SNY.
Dan Cronin tweeted, I was lonely for a little bit, but fortunately, I got yet another email from Untuckit. Dan, if Untuckit can cure your loneliness, don't wait for an email, just put one on. There are so many occasions to break out your favorite shirt. There are Zoom calls, Zoom happy hours, Zoom coffee breaks, Zoom weddings, and Zoom Zooms, which are Zooms where you schedule other Zooms. Dan, no matter what the occasion is, you'll be the sharpest dressed person there. Find your shirt today at untuckit.com.
Welcome to Toyota's National Sales Event.
Ooh, RAV4.
It's a great time to save on the 2021s while they last. Ooh, Venza. Toyota's got an exciting lineup to choose from.
Oh, Highlander, could you?
Oh, sure. You have to understand, it's the National Sales Event.
Right now, lease a new 2021 RAV4 for just $229 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost service plan with roadside assistance.
Hey, that's my line.
Toyota, let's go places.
1 year apart is one too many. Don't miss the return of the Great New York State Fair, August 20th through September 6th. Come be a part of it. Get your tickets at iloveny.com.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Google Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel Buds from $499 and $99.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Only pay for what you need with customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual. Nothing rhymes with Liberty Mutual.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Home run derby champ? Check. Hitting a ball into the visitor's bullpen? Ooh, yeah. It's happening. I got this. Feeling lucky? Just like some fan who has a chance to win some cash. See? Told you I'd hit it.
If a Mets player hits a home run in the visitors' bullpen at Citi Field, you could win cash from the New York Lottery. Just go to sny.tv/New York Lottery to enter for a chance to win. Meet Dom, left fielder, first baseman, and overall nice guy.
Great snag.
Need a clutch hit? Just call Dom. Because he's a big bat with an even bigger heart.
Dom Smith with an opposite field grand slam. Oh, made the catch. Oh, wow. With the Mets down to their final strike, Dom Smith with the tying hit.
Watch Dominic Smith's story continue with the Mets on SNY.
The first 10,000 guests, 14 and younger in attendance, get a Yankees Scooby-Dooby-Doo bobblehead. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com/tickets. Commissioner Silver is in the building, so we'll get him in studio here in a couple seconds. Spend less time on cooking and cleanup and more time enjoying with Grubhub. The most restaurants with the most rewards. Stay in and save by ordering Grubhub. Save with perks, pre-order food and express reorder, 24/7 customer service, contact-free delivery. Whether it's a special deal at a local spot or hundreds of dollars in free food from restaurants around the hood, Perks offers Grubhub diners one place to find exclusive offers from nearby restaurants. Get the deals you love on the food you love with Perks from Grubhub and grub what you love. Let me get a call or two, and then we'll get Adam Silver into the studio. Vinny's in Jersey on the Fan. Vinny, good afternoon. How are you, buddy?
What's up, Craig? How are you?
Doing great, babe.
Yeah, my question was actually for Adam Silver. I hope you can ask him when he comes on.
Sure.
I think for the first time ever, the reigning MVP is not playing on Christmas Day.
Yeah, but you know who is playing on Christmas Day? Come on.
Knicks Hawks, right?
Go New York, go New York, go. We got screwed last year. We didn't play on Christmas Day, which is our day to play basketball, and we're back.
True. It's true. And it should be a lot of fun because, as you know, what's his name on the Hawks is quite the villain at MSU.
Trae Young, of course. Now, now, what you said to start the call, is that accurate? It's the first time in the history of the NBA that the reigning MVP is not on Christmas Day. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the first time ever, but it might be like the first time in like 25 or 30 years or something that the reigning MVP is not playing. So I was wondering, like, that was just an oversight by the commissioner in the NBA, or it was just, for whatever reason, the Nuggets couldn't play on Christmas Day because of scheduling.
Don't know. That's, by the way, not the worst question in the world. If it comes up, and we have a whole hour with Adam, we'll get to it. Real quick, Jet fans, bad news. The initial report is that Lawson is out for the season. I assume that means he tore the Achilles or ruptured or something. But it appears that Lawson, who is our arguably most important offseason free agent signing, 3 years, $45 million, and by all accounts has been a monster at camp, apparently tore, or I don't want to say, I guess, is it tore? Yeah. So he tore the Achilles. MRI results are back, and he will not play for the New York Jets this year. And that puts his career in doubt, too, that type of injury for the NFL. How many guys have you heard of who came back from a torn Achilles in the NFL? I don't know the answer, but I imagine it's not a lot. So the New York Jets get rattled with bad news before their very first game. Tom is in Easton on the Fan. Tommy, what's going on, Cookie?
Hey, what's up, Craig, man? Great talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, props on the recovery, man. It is a monster. I definitely know what that's like.
One day, though. By the way, one day at a time. I got more than 3 years in, so we're getting there.
There you go. I'm not quite there, but we're working on it.
Good.
We're working on
Good.
it. So, my question, if you could run this by the commissioner, you can form this however you can get into a question. The free throws, going back to the hack-a-shack, it ruins the game of Ben Simmons is afraid to take a free throw, scared to shoot the ball.
Right.
There's that, and then the 85 3-pointers at a shot a game. I'm old school, 80s, more of an inside game, but
sure.
I don't know, man. I think for me, as an old, I'm going to be 50 years old. Some of the way basketball has evolved.
Well, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. It is a 3-point shooter's game now. I don't want to invent the number, but there's something like 50 3-pointers a game now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So if you could definitely figure out something with the free throw shooting and the replays at the end of the game, I don't know the answer. I really don't even know what the question is, but let's get that stuff fixed.
I think it's a legitimate, as much as I love NBA basketball, and everyone knows I love it, especially in the playoffs, when the last 90 seconds of a game takes 25 minutes to play, it's a problem. Now, it's a fixable problem, whether you fix the replay rule, the amount of time they're allowed to look at replay, or what plays are allowed to be challenged or looked at either by the coaches or by the officials in the last 2 minutes. But they're, for everything they get right, that is an issue, that there are times, and especially, 1-point game down the stretch, each team rocking and rolling, and then you just come to a complete dead stop. And I should say, it's not based on the wrong intent. The intent is to get the call right. And they usually get it right after the replay, but it does change the momentum of a game. And I'm sure it's something they discuss all the time, I'm sure. The NBA does not have a lot of on-court issues as far as how the game is played. They just don't. Now, you may not like an outside shooting basketball game because you grew up on rough and tumble, 82-79 type games. But the NBA, as far as the product, has very few problems. Some sports have significant issues or problems for their core fans. The NBA ain't one of them. They're in a really good place when it comes to the content in between the lines. And we're going to talk to the commissioner about that content and a lot of other things here as Adam Silver co-hosts the next hour of Carton and Roberts here on The Fan. Good news, pumpkin lovers. And not like the dirty kind. Like, if you like pumpkin spice and you love Dunkin', this fall, there's a whole new spin on pumpkin to love at Dunkin'. Some brand new ways to enjoy the flavor of the season. The new pumpkin cream cold brew. Smooth, bold, cold, brewed, topped with velvety pumpkin cream, cold foam made with cinnamon and nutmeg and spices. And I want one right now. Or you can enjoy the delicious fall classic, the pumpkin spice signature latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. It's a dream come true for all you pumpkin lovers. That's how they pumpkin at Dunkin'. Slip into it, sure. Sip into the fall season with a $3 medium pumpkin cream cold brew or pumpkin spice signature latte. American runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary, limited time offer. Exclusions apply, valid on pumpkin spice signature latte only, and all cold foam cold brew. Adam Silver next on The Fan.
Carton and Roberts on SNY is brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar, proud partner of the New York Mets.
Dan Wilbur tweeted, got an email from Untuckit. Dude, every shirt's an Untuckit shirt right now. Mr. Wilbur, I just don't know if that's true. Every man deserves to wear a perfectly fitted Untuckit that falls at just the right length. However, due to production limitations, we can't make enough Untuckit shirts for every man on Earth. Lots of men are still wearing poorly fitted traditional shirts. Keeps me up at night. Find your shirt today at untuckit.com.
You're watching golf videos now.
Oh, in fact, I am, yeah, because I switched to Spectrum Mobile, so I get 5G nationwide, including here.
You think a golf video is going to help with what you're doing?
Oh, no, it's not just a video. I saved a bunch of money when I switched, so I hired a swing coach. Say hi to Brett.
Hey. Well, you tell Brett you just shot a 12 on the last hole.
Who's counting?
Everybody. That's the whole point of golf. Counting.
Brett did tell me that.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile and save, and get 5G nationwide included in every plan. It's a better way to mobile. It's Spectrum Mobile.
If there's ever a summer to get away, this is it. And the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is here to make it happen. Secure your deal and head to your Hyundai dealer today, where new vehicles are arriving daily, and get away with summer-only savings on all models. This is your summer to get away with it all. Hey, it's your journey. Own it.
Lease an Elantra for $139 a month, or get an Elantra or Sonata for 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
New Yorkers share their personal stories about the vaccines.
I was here today to take my second dose of the vaccine. Vaccination, for this coronavirus that is spreading all over the world. No, I was not nervous. It was very easy, very easy. Personally, I don't have the side effects. I've taken the first dose. I took the second dose. It doesn't affect me. I would tell people who are afraid of getting the vaccine not to be. It's not worth it because, there is no side effect. If at all there is any side effect, in some cases, it's something very minor. It's minor side effects. Like I said earlier on, I personally don't have any side effect. The injection is mild. The needles are very tiny. I took the injection, I didn't feel anything. Just a breeze. Take your vaccination. Millions of people have taken it. New York City is the best city in the whole world taking this vaccination. We are here to conquer.
Visit nyc.gov/vaccine finder or call 877-VAX-4-NYC.
Welcome to Toyota's National Sales Event.
Thanks, I'm here for a great deal.
Great deals are kind of our thing. You can save on the 2021s while they last, like Camry, Venza, Corolla.
Watching them come and go is really getting to my neck.
Occupational hazard this time of year. Gotta keep it loose.
You can lease a new 2022 Corolla for just $159 a month, or lease a new 2022 Corolla Hybrid for just $159 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost service plan.
It all ends September 7th.
Toyota, let's go places.
Band practice, soccer, whatever that is, Nathan is working on. Nobody has time to cook, but the big dinner box from Pizza Hut is the answer. 2 pizzas, wings, breadsticks. It's the easy way to feed the whole family in one box.
No one outpieces the Hut.
Welcome back. It's Carton and Robert. Kevin's on vacation, so we figured we need a co-host. I don't want to do this alone. So who would be a good co-host? Well, heck, the commissioner of the NBA, Mr. Adam Silver in studio. Adam, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Good to see you. I want special credit for being here in person.
Yes, you get
Those
it, too.
other guys were live, but they weren't in person.
No, now, the Manfred, Rob was coming in.
I know.
And then as the story goes, he got a call from the Cubs.
Right.
And there's some event in Chicago. I don't even know what it is. And they said, we need you out in Chicago. And he said, well, I'm doing this radio show in New York. He goes, no, the commissioner has to be. I don't know who they're honoring, but they're doing something. So, yeah, I very much appreciate you coming.
I'm out of season, so that's fair.
Also very true. Yeah, well, you're really never out of season, right?
True.
It's a 365 gig, I imagine.
Pretty much these days. I mean, as you know, we just finished our summer league.
Yep.
And so there's a bit of a break now, right till the beginning of September.
Right.
But it's pretty much year-round, and we also run the WNBA.
Why do you think the summer league caught on the way it has in the last 3 or 4 years? Because there was always a summer league, but it's really in the last 3 to 5 years, to be fair, it's become a legitimate, people watch it.
Part of it is Las Vegas is a sports destination. I mean, as I mentioned to you before, when we started playing our summer league in Las Vegas, some leagues still were refusing to take advertising from Las Vegas. You know, we brought our All-Star game, and this was before, obviously, the NFL and the NHL had teams there. So I think it became more of a destination. It became more of a summer destination. I don't know if you remember, in the old days, Vegas was empty in the summer because of the heat. People just didn't go there.
And it wasn't a family town then either. They've tried very hard to make it a family-friendly town.
Exactly. And so then they started looking for other attractions. Obviously, they have a beautiful stadium there now for the Raiders. They have the arena, both where the NHL plays and Thomas and Mack, where we play our summer league, where UNLV plays. And so it became more popular. And plus, you have the local population that was looking for sports to attend in the summer. And on top of that, before, we have other summer leagues. We had one in Utah and Sacramento, but there were just a few teams there. And it used to be, it was sort of East Coast Summer League, West Coast Summer League. And then we saw the opportunity as we went into the media business, NBA TV, our partners at Turner, ESPN saw the opportunity. And it's not mandatory, but all 30 teams realized this was a place to be. And I analogize it a bit to the baseball winter meetings. Like it was a little different this year, obviously, with the pandemic. But before the last 2 years, there's an enormous amount of activity there as well. I mean, any hotel you go through, if you're in where Thomas and Mack is, it's two arenas connected to each other. You'd see all the GMs out there. You'd see all the coaches milling about. And so it was where our community came together. In the summer, we used it as an opportunity to have an owners meeting out there. So it really turned into an event. And then all the top players started participating. So this year we had 29 of the 30 top draft picks. And then you have vets coming back. A lot of them train in Vegas in the summer to sort of use it as a team-building opportunity. So
but for us as fans, it's a chance to see, hey, what's Cade Cunningham look like, right? And I'm a Knicks fan, so we didn't have that top of a pick, but it's a first crack at seeing guys. And for the guys, like, you look at the Brooklyn Nets, right? They're bringing everyone back. If they're healthy, they're clearly one of the teams to beat talent-wise. Now, whether or not they do, who knows? But they draft a kid that otherwise you might say, he's not getting any playing time, and he's the MVP of the league.
Exactly.
So a kid like that makes a name for himself. He's going to get playing time.
Yeah, no, I think that's precisely the case, and that for people out there, I mean, there are small arenas there where you can be right on top of the action. I mean, to me, even though I was out there for a while last week, and just when you see not only those top draft picks, but the kids who are trying to make teams, you realize how deep the talent is. And so, you know, and it's very competitive because obviously for the top draft picks, they're not playing every game. They're still trying to prove themselves, but then you got a whole group of guys who are trying to get contracts. So it's really become a hub of activity in the summer.
Let me get just low-hanging fruit. I know this came out a couple of days ago. You told some reporters or somewhere that you and LeBron had spoken about the play-in game. You know, he was very vocal against it. Of course, he never thought he'd probably be playing in it. You know, and there's this one train of thought that, hey, why do it? You know, you prevent Steph Curry from being in the playoffs because he has to play that game. But the other side is, it keeps so many more teams alive for a potential playoff berth. And I know it was a product of COVID originally, but I think what it did for the league post-COVID this past year was great for a lot of cities where it's something that you'd want to keep. So I wondered how much, you know, LeBron being against it, does that really count? And how much do you view it as something that's here to stay?
Well, first of all, in terms of an individual player, we deal with the Players Association. You know, Chris Paul just stepped down as president of Players Association, but I dealt with him for many years in that capacity. Michelle Roberts, the executive director. And ultimately, I, of course, have conversations with individual players, but at the end of the day, they make decisions as a unit. Right. And we can't, you know, short of going into full collective bargaining, we can't change anything in the schedule, the format, without the approval of the Players Association. And as you said, it was a function of the bubble, and we saw that as an opportunity, but it was something that we had begun talking to the Players Association about before.
Oh, is that right? That was pre-COVID?
Yeah, it was pre-COVID, the discussions. And honestly, when we were first looking at it, you know, we look at other leagues, look at wild card games and other opportunities and see, you know, what are best practices, what can we learn from what other leagues do. And so we were more focused on the new games themselves and that sort of win-or-go-home mentality and how vital they would be. I mean, we knew the teams would be competing there. It would keep more teams in contention. But to your point, it turned out better than we even thought it would be because we had, you know, with 2 weeks left in the season this year, you know, there was something like 24 teams were still contending for playoff spots.
I remember that just as watching the Knicks and, you know, being local, There was every spot. The only spots that were decided with 10 days left in the season were the top two.
Right.
That was it. Every other, now some guys you knew were in the playoffs, but you didn't know if they were 3, a 6, a 5, which was great.
Right, and because you have 7, 8, 9, 10 all involved in the play-in, and another thing that we didn't anticipate, then there was a race to get to at least 6, so you were locked in, so you didn't have to participate.
The games counted.
But and having said that, I mean, to LeBron's point and others, you know, it's fair. I mean, there are reasons why we hadn't done things historically, and players and teams could say, well, it's a long regular season, so you shouldn't have to, at the end of the day, sort of like lose your playoff spot based on a single game, whatever else. So there's good points on both sides, but I think the most compelling point at the end of the day was keeping more teams in contention, and that worked out really well.
What's your take on, you know, it's kind of two dirty words for me at least, load management, and the fact that some teams, some players have in a way minimized the importance of a regular season game by taking games off. Fans hate it, of course, especially if you're a paying fan and you went to a game solely to see that star player who's only coming to your town once. But the big picture, if you have a really good team, you want your players healthy. It's a trade-off. How do you feel about it?
I'm conflicted because even from a fan standpoint, there are a lot of fans, just as you said, who will agree that a player should be sitting out a game. But then, and from the business side, they say, but don't charge me the same amount, you know, for that ticket.
Or not the game I go to, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I also, it was interesting, right before the pandemic, we started spending more time on the science of player health because I think there's a fair amount of pseudoscience around load management as well, just to be frank, that it's not as clear as people might think. Like, yes, if you're on the court, it increases your chance of getting injured. But I think, you know, where teams are getting increasingly sophisticated, it's not just court time, it's obviously practice time, it's sleep, it's travel. So what correlates and causes ultimately injuries, as I said, is something that we're trying to have a better understanding of, because I don't want to be in a position of forcing guys to play regular season games that significantly increase their chances of getting injured and not being available for the playoffs. That doesn't make sense. On the other hand, you know, this past season, we reduced the regular season from 82 games to 72 games. It's as if people completely forgot when people were talking about injuries later on in the season. And I remember I thought to myself, I'm glad we didn't just go ahead and do this without a pandemic, because it obviously it's a huge revenue implication to reduce 82 to 72. Yeah. I'm not saying we wouldn't do it if we thought that we could prolong players' careers and keep them healthier in a given season, but it didn't quite work out that way. And so for us, you know, we're trying to better understand why players get injured. I mean, just by way of example, Michael Jordan obviously is now an owner in the league. I remember talking to him about it. His belief was if he took a day off, he'd get injured.
Right.
That's
old school.
And I think even some of your, I know it's not quite analogous, but a lot of like people are listening, weekend athletes and stuff who exercise every day, they're sort of superstitious. I know a lot of guys who think like, if I take a day off from just working out, you know, I'm going to hurt myself. So, you know, and also where the science changed, you know, when I first got involved in the league, there was always, they didn't call it load management, but certainly not every game got national attention.
Right.
You know, there were certain games in the middle of the week that if a star player, usually what they did back then is they still suited up, they still started, they would reduce their minutes, they'd come, you know, maybe take the whole second quarter off. And for those fans, especially those who are in the arena and maybe their only opportunity to see Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, or whatever, they still were satisfied. They got to see the guy. Now, the sort of where the science went in load management is that in order for the player to have appropriate rest, they shouldn't even go through their pre-game routine. You know, they shouldn't even suit up. And so it draws this much brighter line, you know, for fans who are there, you know, whether in person or on television, and creates greater disappointment. So, you know, we put in place rules in terms of national games, but it's a fair point to say, why single out those games? It's still for that fan going to their one game. So, you know, we have to have a better understanding of it. And it's something that we and the players have to address together, because ultimately you can keep our stars on the floor longer, keep them healthier later into their career. We should be doing something with the schedule.
The late David Stern, who I got to know a little bit and did some interviews with him, when you became commissioner, I always wonder this: did he whisper in your advice And I know you leaned on him as any successor would, but I wonder when he handed the keys over to you, other than saying "Don't F it up," and he
did say that.
I'm sure he did. Did he give you any advice that sticks with you?
Well, let me take a step back. So my first job at the NBA was as David Stern's assistant, and I had 5 different jobs at the NBA. The last one before I became commissioner was as deputy commissioner. But in all 5 of those jobs, over roughly 21 years, I worked directly for David. So, even just when you said his name, I had to take we were that close, and so it wasn't so much, here's this one opportunity to now give you my final word as you step into the job. I mean, so when I started at the league, this was pre-internet, pre-cell phones. I mean, and everyone knew David's work ethic. And I had come from a law firm in New York where worked crazy hours. I mean, first several years I was with the league, I was physically with him till 9, 10 o'clock at night every night.
Right.
We worked on weekends. We were always together. I mean, I had a very close relationship to my father, so I don't want to say necessarily he was a second father to me, but it was that close a relationship. And so he was more than a mentor. I mean, it was a very close personal relationship. He became very close to my wife when I got married. I'm very close still to Diane, his wife, and his kids. And so we talked all the time on a regular basis. I also think, and this another thing that made David so special, once I did become commissioner, though, our relationship changed. I mean, it wasn't so much him saying, here's what you should do.
Right.
I had been in the room with him, for 21 years. Literally always in the room. And so I was privy to a process where I saw how he made decisions, how he approached issues. Remember, you had Gary on earlier. When I first started the NBA, Gary worked at the NBA with David. A great group of
He gave you space.
Yeah, a great group of owners over many years, CEOs of major media companies, people like Bob Iger and Ken Chenault and others who I learned from. So I think he thought it was important when I took over, now it's your job.
Right.
And so it's true. I spoke to him on a regular basis. We talked about all kinds of things, but he never was whispering to me, this is now what you should do.
No, he had to give you space, right?
Exactly.
To let you, because if he's over you all the time, it doesn't work.
Exactly. And I think it's what, it's what made him so special, too. Even that at that moment, a guy who was never accustomed to pulled back.
Right. You did something which I think is hard to do. People don't, I think, appreciate it. You came in as the new guy in town. Clearly a star-run league, even more so, I think, when David handed you the baton than when he first, built that concept of, hey, it's going to be Larry and Magic and ultimately Michael, and we're going to build the league off these great players and great personalities and stars, is that you came in as an owner guy, because the commissioner's at the behest of the owners in all leagues.
Right.
But very quickly earned the respect of the players, which I don't think is that easy to do. And you did it very smoothly, where the players from Jump Street said, we like this guy. This is our guy. We respect this guy. He gets us. And I wonder how that process manifested itself. Because it's not easy.
Right. And again, I would just step back in terms of my history at the league. I was not well known to people outside the NBA, maybe second round getting booed.
Right.
Who's announcing our pick? Right. But putting that aside, I started my career at the NBA in 1992 as David's assistant, but then ultimately I became president of something called NBA Entertainment, which is, the media, the production arm, marketing arm of the league. And so I had pretty strong relationships with a lot of the players over the years, and in a way that, unlike in a commissioner's role, where you also unfortunately have to take on the mantle of disciplining players on occasion and making decisions that could potentially be unpopular. As president of NBA Entertainment, I was partnering with players on their marketing. And so I came in with some pretty strong relationships with players. Now, I think, they recognized that my role was changing when I became commissioner. But I would say both those personal relationships and 20-plus years of working directly with players and their agents, for that matter, and the Players Association, I think really helped ground me in terms of understanding how important it was to have that strong relationship in the
So
job.
if you came out publicly and said Space Jam 2 sucked compared to Space Jam 1, the guys would say, all right, he's still our guy. We're okay. Not that you would say that.
Not that I would ever say
you
that.
would not say that.
Yeah.
Adam Silver joins us. One of the big things going on that I've heard bantied about, you've talked about a little bit, is the concept of a mid-season tournament of some kind. For guys like me who just love the NBA, and we're going to watch every single game, why would a guy like me have any interest in my Knicks not playing and watching some type of mid-season tournament? And then what would the benefit of this tournament be?
Well, I'm certainly not saying your Knicks wouldn't play in it. I think the notion is that people care, fans care about games of consequence. I mean, even me, I'm a sports fan across all sports, but probably this is the case.
Well, let me stop you there. Who are you a fan of?
I'm a fan. I grew up a Yankee fan.
A Yankee fan, okay.
Yeah, I grew up a Giants fan. I'm a New York guy.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Rangers, Yankees,
of course.
Giants.
Yeah, you know Westchester guys. You know what.
All right, I got you. All right, were you a Knicks fan growing up?
Absolutely, huge Knicks fan growing up. And I only say that for the other sports, even now as commissioner of the NBA, I don't pay as much attention to the other sports till they get to their playoffs. I mean, I'm sure that's the case of a lot of casual sports fans, because the games then are more meaningful. And I think for me, the notion of creating a midseason tournament is that you can potentially create games of consequence. Now, I recognize that it's winning the midseason tournament isn't going to become the same as winning the Larry O'Brien trophy overnight. And this is where, in all my years at NBA Entertainment and doing a lot of international work, I was in charge of selling our games overseas, and you see how the different, particularly soccer leagues, operate in Europe. And there, whether it's the Champions League, then they have individual cups for certain leagues. They have other meaningful tournaments. Like take the English Premier League. There are like 6 different cups you can win. And so now for U.S. sports fans, I recognize, although U.S. sports fans are increasingly fans of English Premier League and La Liga and other international sports as well. But the thought is we can create something else meaningful, something else that teams care about winning. And it's not going to happen overnight. But at least that's the theory behind it. I'll also say, the response from, even directly from some players is like, sorry, interesting concept, but we only care about winning the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Right.
And then, you began discussion about the Summer League, and we turned that into a tournament. It's like Sacramento won the championship when they won the other night. Just watch the guys on the floor.
Yeah.
So these guys love to win.
So how would
it is a long regular season to only play for one.
How do you conceive of it short term? X number of teams get into it, and the winner is guaranteed a playoff berth or something like that?
I personally am not a big fan of connecting a midseason tournament results to playoff berths or home court or anything like that. I wouldn't
so independent of any of that,
mess with that competition. I mean, for us, and it's just a concept right now. And again, we can't do it without the players agreeing to it. And we also have to take into account that we already have a long regular season. And your point before about load management, I mean, I don't want to create a midseason tournament where our stars are resting.
But there would be a financial component to it.
Of course.
On top of whatever their salaries are.
And there should be. And so, whether you take ideally, conceptually, I'd love to take all the teams and have a break and have a 30-team tournament. Of course, then when you start looking at the calendar, you're like, where are the games going to come from? Right. So, there's in European soccer, in some cases, they have games that count for other competitions. So you could take, a Knicks-Bucks game that was already scheduled, and that could be meaningful for an early round of the midseason tournament.
But this wouldn't take place of an all-star game. This would be
no, presumably not. Although I will just say that the whole concept around all-star has become stale. I don't, we've tried new experiments. We did that so-called Elam ending.
Right.
We've done other things around all-star, but in the old days, guys cared a lot more about all-star competition.
Sure.
And even though they have financial incentives now to care, and guys still generally want to win, a lot of it comes from pressure on their teams not to overdo it all-star. They're worried about getting hurt or overexpending themselves. So, even all-star itself, is a concept that we have to continually push at ourselves and possibly rethink in terms of what's most appealing to fans.
Talking to Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA, what's your take on, as the game has changed and the three-point shot has become such an integral part of the sport, and that, I mean, there's 30, 40, 50 three-pointers, every single game, that the game needs to adapt to that change by making rule changes, by moving the three-point line back, by maybe even introducing a four-point shot. Are those active conversations that owners and players have had regarding specifically the three-point shot?
We're always talking about the game and how potentially to improve it. No serious conversations about a rock and jock four-point shot right now,
right.
or a special spot on the floor where you get 10 points
or whatever
circle,
else. Because Steph would just stand there and it'd be it.
Exactly. So that's not on the table. And we're watching it closely. I think the game's in a great place right now. And I've said this before, but Bob Cousy, who's got to be 92, 93 years old right now. He called me last year and he said, because I don't think people have a sufficient understanding of how incredible it is for these guys to pull up, from 35, 36 feet out, flick their wrists.
And make shots.
Routinely
make shots.
Routinely take shots. And you remember, when I first got involved in the league, knock on a lot of players was they couldn't shoot. Right. And so, I think it's quite incredible. And one thing we're not looking to do is move 34-foot shots to 18-foot shots. I don't think that by definition makes it more exciting.
Right.
I mean, we look at the data very closely. My sense is that it's plateauing a bit in terms of the ratio of three-point shots to other shots on the floor. So we're looking at, we just had a competition committee meeting out in Las Vegas. We looked at the data. It's, owners, GMs, coaches, players, all in the room, referees, and thought about the game. And I think the general sense was we're in a good place. We did announce some rule changes around some of what people refer to as the non-basketball moves, the leg kicks and the funny.
Right. Especially a guy taking a 25-foot shot and he lands and kicks the leg and falls down.
I think some of that stuff, again, responding largely to the fans who are so familiar with this game, even if they don't play at a high level, saying that just doesn't look like basketball. That the kind of notion no one would ever call that on the playground sort of rule. And believe it or not, when even the best players in the world are sitting around having these discussions about the rules, they say the same kinds of things. So those are areas where I think we can make improvements, but we're not ready to move the three-point line.
We're going to continue on, take a very quick break. Adam Silver stays with us till 6 o'clock. NBA commissioner, more coming up, including Adam's thought on these teams that get put together, 3-4 all-stars to try to win titles, and how important it was for Milwaukee to win a title this year, right after this.
T-Mobile gives you more. Carton and Roberts is presented by Grubhub. Order with contact-free delivery to safely get food from the restaurants you love.
No ink? I need you to print. I need you. Please don't do this. I love you so much. I hate you. You think you're empty? I'm empty.
Do you suffer from cartridge conniptions? Be conniption-free thanks to the cartridge-free Epson EcoTank printer. A ridiculous amount of ink. Up to 2 years of ink comes in the box. The EcoTank is the perfect cure for...
I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of that. I meant it! You're mocking me.
The Epson EcoTank. Just fill and chill.
Does anybody have more cartridges?
Available at...
DIY means having the right tools. Search with images, that's a tool. So's renting with a swipe. Same-day delivery, that's a power tool. This isn't just DIY, this is the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Caleb Gardner tweeted, "Can someone please explain Untuck It to me? I just don't understand the positioning. Shirts designed to be worn untucked have existed for a long, long time. Mr. Gardner, respectfully, there's a difference between a shirt that can be worn untucked and a shirt designed to be worn untucked. You could use a leaf blower as a hairdryer.
You can use a shoe as a pillow. But wouldn't you rather have something designed specifically for what you need it for?
Find your shirt today at untuckit.com.
Town Fair Tire sells every name brand tire at the guaranteed lowest price. And Town Fair gives you more free services than any other tire dealer. Nobody beats a Town Fair Tire deal. Nobody.
Town Fair Tire.
Nights can be hard for foster kids, especially the first night. But it doesn't take much to help them feel comfortable, feel secure, feel loved. Little things like new books and PJs can help a foster child feel safe, get a good night's sleep, and have a chance at a better tomorrow. You can help us make a difference for foster kids of all ages. Visit mattressfirmfosterkids.org to make a donation today.
This is Twist, extreme graffiti artist.
Appears that you're a connoisseur of beauty.
I've seen the original tons of times.
No, you haven't.
Ain't no way you can keep
To pull this job off, we'll need a Twist.
You're hitting Losburn. I want in. We're on.
Be careful you use trust, because people only see what they want to see. Not if you know where to look.
Ooh, what are we running next, huh? What about the skinny post? Not too skinny, though, more like regular.
Guys, I can see your mouths moving.
Oh, yes, you can. That's me right there.
Not a good thing.
Oh, okay. How about a Lon Pock leaf blower? That's not even on there. A slappy two-pump slant?
Wag the dog.
Razzle dazzle?
Ooh, wag the cat.
All right, go get him, Dak. Don't forget those plays.
Get front row seats every Sunday afternoon with NFL Sunday Tickets.
Slappy two-pump slant.
Works every time.
Every live game, every Sunday, only on DirecTV.
Adam Silver joins us about 15 more minutes or so here on The Fan as we wrap up our Commissioner Summit. I thought Milwaukee winning the title, outside of not being the Knicks, was great for your sport. And great for your sport because it wasn't a quote-unquote super team. I just wonder overall how you feel about guys in the league kind of, getting together saying, all right, all three of us are going to go here and build this super team to win a title. Do you think that's ultimately long-term good for the sport, or you not like it?
I'm not crazy about it. I mean, first, just to your point a minute ago about the Bucks, I thought that was amazing.
It was awesome.
For the league, and I thought, the fact that Giannis chose to stay in Milwaukee, I think it's a point that I've been making for years, that in a global league where people take out their phones and, regardless of where they are on the planet, can now watch the NBA, that the difference in market size between, let's say, Milwaukee and Chicago is almost irrelevant now to these players. They want to be where they can win. In terms of players coming together, number one, I don't think we're ever going to have a rule where players can't talk to each other. That's always going to be the case. And I think there are improvements we can make to the system. It's something as we go back into a collective bargaining cycle with the players. And I don't necessarily think it has to be as adversarial as some people think, because 450 players in the league all want to win championships. And while they want the ability to become free agents and then go to a team of their choice, they also have an interest in parity around the league and ensuring that the top players are distributed in a fair way. And so you got to find that right balance where when teams are built through the draft and, smart basketball people are making decisions and putting good combinations of players together, you want that to be rewarded. But I think whether it's the players coming together themselves or, smart GMs bringing them together, you don't want to see too much talent aggregated in one place.
No, how important is it? LeBron said this past season that seeing the Garden rocking, as it was in the series against Atlanta, just felt right, seemed right, good for the league, right. And I know while you don't root for the Knicks, you're the commissioner, and you love all the teams, did you feel the same way, that seeing the Knicks back in the postseason, even though they didn't win, just seemed right?
Yes, although I want to be careful here, because as I travel around the league, and I did a ton even in this year's playoffs, you want to see that in every market you go to.
I get it. Yep.
Look, I'm a New York guy. I grew up here. It's great to see the Knicks successful. I know that in terms of what people talk to me about as the commissioner, whether I'm just walking into your studio today or walking in my neighborhood, people love to talk about the Knicks, and increasingly, by the way, talk about the Nets in New York too. So it's great to see what they're building there. But it's been a terrific story, and that energy in Madison Square Garden. I know when that was one of the first nationally televised playoff games where we had a full arena.
Right.
And you probably heard the same thing. Like a lot of my friends who don't work in sports, work in, you name it, banking, real estate, media, like when they saw that Madison Square Garden full, it was almost like, wow, like pandemic's ending. We're back.
Yeah, it felt right.
And now, unfortunately, like we're seeing now a little bit of a sea change with the Delta variant, and people are losing a little bit of their confidence, which I hope they get back soon. But I know for people, watching people come together in Madison Square Garden, I think that was meaningful, and the joy, that people had being there in an arena for that kind of exciting crowd.
Real quick, let's talk a little bit about gambling. My story is very well known public. I have a gambling problem. I'm a compulsive gambler, and it costs me everything. That being said, I'm also a huge proponent of the proliferation of legalized gambling, because just because I can't do it responsibly doesn't mean that everyone else can't enjoy it. And the numbers, to be fair, are about 10% of people that gamble will develop some type of addiction to it or compulsive behavior around it. All the leagues have now embraced it. You were first. You were ahead of the curve when it comes to the other commissioners and leagues. As you bring in more marketing revenue and dollars from those entities and casinos and gambling sites, how concerned, maybe not concerned, how much do you do it with an eye on, we're bringing them in, we're doing business with them, but we also want to be really, really spot on when it comes to setting the message of responsible gambling, letting people know that there are outlets to get help, that you may develop a problem. And how do you weigh the benefits of the financial gain for the owners versus the responsibility of, hey, we could have a problem here?
Well, sure. Well, number one, it's great that you're back.
Thank you.
It's the first time we've been together in person since you have been, and you paid a huge price for it. And also many people may not realize how much work you're doing in terms of compulsive gambling and sports, et cetera. So thank you for that. And the short answer is you have to strike the right balance. I think part of the issue for us, and it's something I pointed out when we were first advocating for legalized sports betting, is that, as you said, there are going to be problem gamblers, and that 10% are probably the group that are most likely to bet illegally, and if there isn't a legal alternative. And the notion learned a lot from European sports betting that has been around for decades, that if you can move the action to a legal platform, largely where people are using credit cards and have to identify themselves, you're going to be much more successful at identifying a problem gambler than you are if you keep pushing it all underground.
I agree.
And so that was part of my thinking, and my background in NBA entertainment. We're moving into, putting our games on the internet and all kinds of digital products. It was clear back when, and it's not that many years ago, when everything was largely still illegal in the United States, that I used to say in presentations that go to Google and put in BetNBA. Everything was still illegal in the United States. And you could spend a week looking at the number of sites on there that had little credit card ads and everything else. So people were doing it. Now, if you talk to FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, et cetera, William Hill, that they have really sophisticated algorithms where, just kind of like insider trading on a stock exchange.
No, they can pick it out.
They can pick it out.
Yep.
It doesn't capture everything. So that's part of the issue, moving it legalized. Number two is, as you said, we have an obligation. It's not just to find the right balance, but it's to make sure we're not sending the wrong messages to the 10%, that we're constantly repeating responsible messages, that we're using our public service announcements, that we limit the amount of advertising we take in our games for sports betting. And I'll just say that for us, it's not quite the gold mine I think a lot of fans think it is in terms of the betting itself. The most impactful issue for us is the additional engagement that you get from it. And you know from your callers, from your own experience, that you can take a game that you might not otherwise have a lot of interest in. Sure. But if you have a betting interest, you're all in on it. And so part of it for us is finding new ways to engage fans, and
especially younger fans.
And it's true. And if the vast majority of people do it in a responsible way and get joy from it, and I think there are analogies to alcohol, other substances in our lives where, if overused, it can be incredibly destructive, but you can still get joy from it.
Do you see potentially a day when you would support an alternate broadcast of a game for that kind of platform where, a group of guys who do have, money on the game are watching the game along with the audience and discussing it from a gambler's perspective or a fantasy perspective?
Absolutely. In fact, we've already experimented with that. Down the Washington Wizards, their owner, Ted Leonsis, experimented with alternative broadcasts. We did something in Philly as an experiment. And what we're seeing through technology, I think we're going to get close soon to the point where you can have almost unlimited broadcasts, where you can sync, with a feature, a game that's on television with internet audio. So if you want, listen to a whole different set of people, whether it's your friends or whether it's people who are playing fantasy games or betting
kind of like
on the
Twitch model.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's inevitable.
Right. Talking to Adam Silver, a few more moments here. You know, I assume if you didn't see it, you're aware of the Field of Dreams game. Baseball had, of course, the Winter Classic that the NHL has had.
The Yankees lost. I'm aware.
Yeah,
of
they did
it.
lose. Yes. Did you watch it? You saw the walk-off there? All right. So, but before I get to my question then, a quick question for you. As a movie lover, I'm going to give you a couple basketball movies. You tell me which one you'd pick over the others.
Okay.
There's The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Classic,
Dr. J,
of course.
yes.
Dr. J. Everyone's an Aquarius. A Pisces, excuse me. There's The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. There's the Gabe Kaplan, Bernard King, Mavis Washington Fast Break. You know that one?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think you would have known
I'm a
that
Bernard
one.
King guy. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Of course, the original Space Jam, or the one I forget, the Whoopi Goldberg one, where they pick a fan out of the stands at the Garden and she coaches the Knicks.
There was also Celtic Pride in there. Yeah.
Celtic Pride.
And Like Mike.
Like Mike with, that was a little Bow Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite for you that stands out? If you were at home with the family, hey, let's put a basketball movie in. What's the go-to?
Oh, man. Hoosiers?
All right.
You know, I like,
cop-out answer, but all right.
Yeah, no, it's like
pick your friends.
I'm a sentimental guy, you know.
Fair enough. All right, so let me get back to the question about the Field of Dreams game. Could you foresee the NBA doing a game at a place like Rucker, or a place like in Coney Island called the Garden, an outdoor court? 4th Street's too small for sure. Could you envision that one day?
Potentially, first of all, as I said, I thought the Field of Dreams game was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun just as a fan to see Kevin Costner all in on it.
Yep.
You know, that was really cool, and I'm a big fan of that movie as well. I think we've looked at some outdoor games. Our concern is just player safety. You know, that not playing on the right, if the floor is not exactly right, if there's moisture in the air, all those kinds of things worry me a little bit. We used to have a relationship with the Entertainers League up at Rucker. We used to televise those games on NBA TV. And so I think something that would be really cool. So I don't want to rule it out. And, you know, whether it's, you know, what Gary Bettman's done with the Winter Classic, what Rob's doing now with Field of Dreams. I mean, we look at those concepts. And I think this goes back a little bit to your question about the midseason tournament or the play-in. I think with a long regular season these days, I think fans like to see things that are a bit different.
Sure.
So if we can find ways to differentiate games, we'll continue.
And stuff that they have an emotional connection to.
that's
For New Yorkers, Rucker Park is such a key part of our way of life in the 5 boroughs. You know, and people know Rucker outside of New York. That's why I wondered if you guys, I don't know if you could pull off a regular season game there, considering the size of the court and all that stuff. But something like that would be pretty cool.
Right.
Because you guys, Vegas years ago, you know, they did some stuff like that before they went inside, I think. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, no, we experimented. We played a WNBA game at the old whatever they call it, where the U.S. Open played. Before they put the roof on. Before they put the roof on.
Okay.
We played an outdoor game there. And it's just hard. You're so, especially for a big nationally televised game, and I guess baseball deals with this all the time, but you're so dependent on the right circumstance, the weather, and it's a little different in baseball because if you get a slippery floor, and it's so.
A lot of people won't remember this. You'll know it for sure. And the old school NBA guys will know for sure. But years and years and years ago at Kutcher Sports Academy, where it was a summer camp, they had the Maurice Stokes game. Absolutely. And it was in a dungy little gym, barely big enough to fit 12 basketball players in it. But it was such an important game because these guys all loved Maurice Stokes.
And all the big stars were.
And Wilt Chamberlain, they all showed up. Yeah. You were a big star. You played in that game. Yeah. You can never recreate that magic, I don't think. But it'd be cool if you could. Something along those lines. You know?
I agree.
Last couple minutes here with Adam Silver before I let you go. What concerns, if any, do you have as NBA commissioners? You guys go into the next decade of basketball. I think NBA players more than any other point in our history are socially conscious. And while they ever certainly should be, that also doesn't always resonate with the fan base. So I know that's something that you guys talk about a lot. I don't know if you're concerned about that, but is there something that, back of your head, hey, let's make sure we're staying on top of this particular type of issue?
So it's a long list, honestly, of things to lose sleep over. I think your first point, as players become more politically active, and we live in such a polarized society, that even when players are doing things incredibly responsibly, doing things in a way that has no impact on the competition on the floor. When things are as polarized as they do, our goal obviously is not to lose fans over political positions players are taking, but I recognize that there is a portion of our fan base that is upset when players take positions. Now, at the same time, I'm certainly, not going to the sort of shut up and dribble
right.
notion. To me, I think we have to present ourselves in a way where hopefully if players are doing their jobs on the floor, that even if people disagree with them, they respect them for being engaged in society and for having a point of view, and that the players conversely respect fans who may disagree with them. So, but it's a larger issue in terms of our society, and so I do keep a close eye on that, and particularly, look, we have a league that's 80% black, and so. And I think it's important, too, that we support our employees, our partners on the floor, but at the same time, talk to them in a way in our greater fan base that recognizes that people, at the end of the day, are paying a lot of money to watch basketball played at its highest level. And so we got to find the right balance there in those issues. I think next, related to that, is that we're very much a global league and a global brand. Our games are broadcast 210 countries and territories. I shouldn't even use the word broadcast, distributed
right.
by internet or whatever else. And now, when we have conflict around the world, that affects, too, people's view of how beneficial it is to be a global league. When you have players from all around the world, they may be in conflict with issues in their own government, with issues in the U.S. government. So all that becomes relevant to to trying to use basketball actually to keep people closer, to find commonality. I mean, for example, now people are talking about a potential boycott of the Olympics in Beijing.
Right.
I mean, I understand how people could have that point of view. At the same time, I think, boy, let's not give up on sports, whether it's the Olympic sports or the NBA, as a way to build relationships.
It's a great
with people.
connector.
It really is an incredible connector. So those are some of the things I think about. I think also since we just briefly mentioned, the pandemic hasn't gone away, obviously, and now dealing with Delta variant, we're in the business of our top, employees doing their jobs maskless, breathing each other's air. So that's an issue for them, keeping them healthy and safe. We in the playoffs, we saw a return of our fans. The arenas, we had 1.2 million fans or so in the playoffs. We want to stay on that path to continuing to fill our buildings and making sure people feel comfortable, because frankly, we're advocates of people getting vaccinated. We think that's the way to get back to work. So we're very focused on that and trying to sort of be a science-first league and make sure that people see the benefits to following science and having a healthy league. So those are all the kinds of things we're thinking about right now.
Final question. Do you think in the very near future the playoffs will just be a 1-16 and we won't have East versus West, that type of scenario? I know you've talked about it in the past. You see that happening?
It's a great issue. I'm still on the fence. Part of the problem is, again, goes back to the issue we talked about around injuries, that one of the factors that correlates close to injuries is travel. And because of the impact it has on lack of sleep, particularly crossing multiple time zones. And just by definition, if you begin your playoffs 1 versus 16 and it's national playoffs, it's going to mean significantly more travel.
For sure.
I've said it's not tradition that is the greatest obstacle, at least for me, it's travel.
I got you.
And so, having said that, we also want to be a fan-first league, and we're listening to our fans loud and clearly who seem to want a 1-16
right.
Playoff. So we'll continue to study.
Real quick, just speaking of what the fans want, are you concerned at all that a lot of playoff games, a lot of big games, because of replay and timeouts and the way things work, that the last minute or two takes 15 to 20 minutes to play, and can you correct that?
I am concerned about that. And part of the reason that we've had such, elongated last 2 minutes is that we put in place additional replay opportunities, official triggered replays in the last 2 minutes to try to get it right. But even there, it's a case where, well, yes, on one hand, you want to get it right. You want to try to strike the right balance with the flow of the game.
Sure.
And not have fans say, what in the world's going on here? And it's interesting, even hearing back from fans of their teams, increasingly people are saying, I'd rather you get a few wrong and just keep the flow of the game going.
Right.
So Yeah, of course I'm concerned about that. And I think we're even looking at some corrections for this season.
Well, look, I really appreciate you coming in today. I could talk to you for hours and hours, but we're not going to do that today. Thank you for coming in and sharing these thoughts. I think the listeners appreciated it. And good luck with the 21-22 season, but it's good to see you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you. We'll take a quick break. I'll read all this after the break right here on The Fan.
Welcome. Carton and Roberts is presented by Grubhub. Order with contact-free delivery to safely get food from the restaurants you love.
Dan Cronin tweeted, I was lonely for a little bit, but fortunately, I got yet another email from Untuckit. Dan, if Untuckit can cure your loneliness, don't wait for an email, just put one on. There are so many occasions to break out your favorite shirt. There are Zoom calls, Zoom happy hours, Zoom coffee breaks, Zoom weddings, and Zoom Zooms, which are Zooms where you schedule other Zooms. Dan, no matter what the occasion is, you'll be the sharpest dressed person there. Find your shirt today at untuckit.com.
Welcome to Toyota's National Sales Event.
Ooh, RAV4.
It's a great time to save on the 2021s while they last. Ooh, Venza. Toyota's got an exciting lineup to choose from.
Oh, Highlander, could you?
Oh, sure. You have to understand, it's the National Sales Event.
Right now, lease a new 2021 RAV4 for just $229 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost service plan with roadside assistance.
Hey, that's my line.
Toyota, let's go places.
One year apart is one too many. Don't miss the return of the Great New York State Fair, August 20th through September 6th. Come be a part of it. Get your tickets at iloveny.com.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Google Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel Buds from $499 and $99.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Only pay for what you need with customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual. Nothing rhymes with Liberty Mutual.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Home run derby champ? Check. Hitting a ball into the visitor's bullpen? Ooh, yeah. It's happening. I got this. Feeling lucky? Just like some fan who has a chance to win some cash. See? Told you I'd hit it.
If a Mets player hits a home run in the visitor's bullpen at Citi Field, you could win cash from the New York Lottery. Just go to SNY.TV/New York Lottery to enter for a chance to win. Meet Dom, left fielder, first baseman, and overall nice guy.
Great snag.
Need a clutch hit? Just call Dom. Because he's a big bat with an even bigger heart.
Dom Smith with an opposite field grand slam. Oh, made the catch. Oh, wow. With the Mets down to their final strike, Dom Smith with the tying hit.
Watch Dominic Smith's story continue with the Mets on SNY. Cardboard cutouts claim their place as legitimate New York sports fans.
Whoa! Did you catch that walk-off home run in the 10th? Right into the stands.
Oh, yeah. I caught it all right.
That was you.
In the flesh.
It looks really good.
Really?
No.
SNY, every team for every fan from every device.
Get your New York sports here.
Geico Sports Night on SNY.
What's good, beautiful people? Welcome to the show.
Your nightly source for all things New York sports.
And over to the Mets now.
The Knicks looking to make it 2 in a row. Just wait until you see what actually went down.
With continuous updates on the latest New York sports news.
More reaction to the Jets.
We welcome in our Yankees insider.
Ian, thanks for joining us with the latest.
More on Dave Gettleman and the Giants.
Geico Sports Night. All night, every night, starting at 11 p.m. only at SNY.
Get your New York sports here.
All right, let's close out some business for SNY here. The fan choice poll was sponsored by Dunkin'. It's time to get back, New York, so come to Dunkin' for the boost you need to get back running all the way back to the beach. The poll was, how are you feeling about the Mets after Wednesday's big win in San Francisco? Here are the results. 14% said cautiously optimistic. 32% said need to see more. And no surprise here, 54% forget it. The season's over. And they're getting people pregnant. So there you go with that, all right? Grubhub, by far the best place to order food from the restaurants you love. Download the Grubhub app, find incredible delivery deals, free food, and rewards from local restaurants and national favorites. All the deals are just a tap away with perks, even better. Deals are updated every day, so I'm always able to discover something new. Perks on pizza, tacos, sushi, and more, providing a variety of options for the pickiest eaters in my house and your coworkers. Get the deals you love on the food you love with perks from Grubhub and grub what you love. I thought that was great. I appreciate you guys listening to that. We say goodbye to SNY. They got baseball night in New York coming up in a bit. But it was great having all three commissioners on. Of the three, did anything stick out on either any one of them or all of them that you'll go home now saying, oh, all right, interesting? Or no?
I thought what Gary Bettman said about being an Islander fan right now, how it's a great time to be an Islander fan. I
that
thought
stuck
was
out
really
for you?
cool.
That was one?
Especially for the local market. That was really
all
cool.
right. How about Manfred? Anything from him stick out that you go, all right, that's kind of newsy. I'll hang on to that little tidbit.
I thought the stuff you did with him with the gambling was excellent.
Gambling, all right. And how about with Adam Silver?
The super teams.
Yeah, he's against. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, that one really stuck out to me. We were just talking about making a video for it. So, yeah, that really stuck out.
Yeah, and apparently there's not going to be a game at Rucker anytime soon.
Well,
I was hoping for it.
Well, Evan and I were talking about that last year with COVID and everything. Then maybe they could do like an outdoor game out in L.A. or something.
Well,
like that.
there's been a long time. A lot of people know a celebrity league where Fat Joe is always a huge part of it, where certain celebrities own teams. Mm-hmm. Now they didn't have NBA players always playing for them, but sometimes they did, and they'd bring in guys, and I'm talking big.